Every creature that God has created on this earth has its own place. Yet, people on earth find reasons to fight with each other. Hello everyone. In this video, we will learn a chapter which teaches us the importance of each and every creature on this earth. What happened to the reptiles? Chapter 9 of the book, A Pact with the Sun. Reptiles, you must have read in your biology book, are animals of the family of crocodiles, tortoise, snakes, lizard, etc. So let's see in the chapter what happened to the reptiles. In this part, we will study that Pambupati is a peaceful village inhabited by a variety of people. Inhabited means occupied by. Prem, the narrator of the story. Narrator is a person who is the part of the story and who tells the story. So Prem, who is the narrator of the story, flees his village. Flees means runs away under unfortunate. Unfortunate means bad or unlucky conditions to reach Pambupati by chance. An old resident of the village. Resident means a person who lives somewhere from long time, also called as inhabitant of the village, looks after him and tells him an interesting story. So here we will read that Pambupati is a peaceful village which has variety of people in it, living in it, and Prem, who is the narrator of the story, runs away from his village due to unfortunate conditions and reaches Pambupati, where he is looked after by a resident who also tells him a story. Now let's read the chapter in details. You may not believe the story, but I can tell you it is true, because I have been to Pambupati, a village on the edge of the jungle. Edge means towards the end. It is on a cliff. Cliff means on the top of a mountain. And the vast forest stretches below. Vast means huge. Stretches means spreads below like a mossy green carpet. Moss is small flowerless green plant. There are many kind of people in the village. Dark, fair, tall, short. They speak many languages. Some eat meat, some don't. Some pray in a small temple at the edge of the forest. Others pray in a mosque some miles away. So Prem, who is the narrator of the story, tells that there is a story about Pambupati which others may not believe, but it's true because I have been there. Pambupati is a village which is towards the end of the forest on top of a mountain, and a huge forest stretches below the village. There are different kind of people living in the village who eat different kind of food and prays to different kind of gods. My name is Prem and I live many hundreds miles away from Pambupati. I had heard about the village but I'd never been there. Then last year something terrible happened. Terrible means extremely bad. The people of my own village went mad, far away in a place they have never even been to. A temple or mosque had been burned down and they went mad. Went mad means they went out of control. They went very angry. They started fighting with one another. Some had to run away in the middle of the night and at 3 in the morning. As I lay in my house half awake to the sounds of the hate and violence, there was a fire. Many houses were burned down in the fire. One of them was mine. So Prem says that he lives hundreds of miles away from Pambupati and he had never been there. But then something terrible, something extremely bad happened and people in his village went out of control. Because far away at a place from their village, somebody has burnt a temple or mosque which has affected his village as well, and people started fighting with each other. They started burning each other's house and people had to run away in the middle of the night. And one of the house burnt was his own house. I managed to grab a few clothes, some coins from my little Ganesh statue, and I ran. I ran for day and a night, resting whenever my legs would not carry me any further. I jumped onto a train, then on bus, no tickets. So Prem also managed to grab some clothes or coins and his little Ganesha statue and ran till he got tired. He travelled on train, on bus without tickets. Never mind. Everyone seemed to be running. Finally, I found myself in Pambupati and I saw some villagers gathered near a well. I ran to them and before I could say a thing, I fainted. Fainted means to lose conscious, to become unconscious. So Prem also ran and finally he found himself in Pambupati where some villagers were gathered near a well. As soon as he ran to them, he lost conscious. That means behosh hona. When I opened my eyes, I saw an old man with white hair, white beard and shining black eyes bending over me. For the next few days, he looked after me, putting food in my mouth and bringing me sweet, cool water from the stream. He rubbed my feet gently and made the pain go away. Neighbors, strangers, everyone came to visit me. So when Prem opened his eyes, he saw that an old man was taking care of him, giving him food, water, whatever he wanted. He also rubbed his feet gently, gently means softly, to make the pain go away. Even neighbors came to visit this stranger. Tell me, grandfather, I said to him one day, I have never seen people like the villagers here. In my village, people fight with those who pray to another god. But here, this seems a very strange place. So Prem told to that old man that in my village, people fight with those who pray another god. But here, people don't fight with each other. And it seems a very strange place to me. To which the old man replied, Prem, I will tell you the story of Pambupati. You can take the story back to your village. Maybe it will heal some of its wounds and dry some of its sores. So the old man said, I will tell you a story and you can take the story back to your village where people, it may help in healing some of the wounds. That means send away the feeling of sadness or disappointment that people have faced. Dry some of the sores means dry some of the wounds that has been created. Oh, grandfather, I said anxiously. Anxiously means in a mentally unstable way, in a distressed manner. Don't say that. What I have seen in my village makes me burn with shame. So Prem said he was ashamed of what he has seen in his village and he never wanted to go back. But that's exactly why you must go back. The old man said, this is the reason why you must go back. He said in a very soft voice. Now Prem kept quiet because he didn't want to argue with this old man and he wanted to hear his story. So what was in the story? Very, very long ago, there were no animals in Pambupati, only reptiles. They had a meeting every month and their leader Makra would chair the meeting. Chair the meeting means head or organize the meeting. Misusing his power, Makra ordered the tortoise and snakes to leave the forest. Now let's read in details. So it happened a long time ago, the old man began. So long ago that there were no schools and no teachers, children lived in caves with their parents and helped them to collect fruits and berries from the forest. At that time, there were no tigers or panthers or elephants in Pambupati forest. There were only reptiles and different kind of reptiles. Now, you know that reptiles are snakes, crocodiles, turtles and lizards. And you know that reptile has scale on its body and it lay egg. Every month, the reptiles of Pambupati had a big meeting. Everyone came, the pretty excited snake, the slow thoughtful tortoise, the clever quick lizard. So the old man started that the story belonged to long time ago when there were no schools, not even houses. People lived in cave. Children helped their parents. There were no animals except reptiles in Pambupati. And every month they had meeting, which was attended by all kind of reptiles. And the moody crocodiles, grumpy because they were out of water. And crocodile also attended. Grumpy means bad-tempered or not in good mood. Why were they not in good mood? Because they had to come out of water. The president of these meetings was Makra, the biggest crocodile of the forest. All the animals thought he was very important. When someone is strong and powerful, you know it is difficult not to go along with what he says or does. So Makra was powerful and everybody had to listen to him. Now one day a strange thing happened. It was a week before one of the monthly meeting. Makra sent a letter to the tortoise asking them not to come to the meeting. So what was the strange thing? That Makra sent letter to tortoise a week before the meeting that they should not attend the meeting. Ahiste, the big old star tortoise with black and yellow picture on his shell, was very angry. So the oldest and biggest tortoise, Ahiste, was very angry. What does this mean? He shouted. How dare they? But not one of the tortoises had the courage to attend the meeting. They were so few, the others so many. Although they were angry, but they did not have the courage to go against what Makra said. Before the meeting, the giant Makra polished his teeth with the red flowers of the tree by the river till they sparkled. Everyone was waiting for him at the meeting. So Makra prepared himself for the meeting and everybody listened to him. And he started talking. Brothers and sisters, he began. All the reptiles, even beautiful king cobra, stopped talking. So when Makra started speaking, everybody kept quiet. Makra continued his speech. I have decided that we don't need the tortoise. I have told them not to come today. Brothers and sisters, can you tell me why we don't like the tortoise? So he said he has decided that tortoise should not come, and he asked other, can you tell me why? The reptiles looked this way and that. They felt very uncomfortable. The snakes hissed anxiously. The lizard wriggled their tail. Wriggled means twist and turn, move quickly. The crocodiles opened their jaws even wider. So everybody was anxious, everybody was surprised, but nobody could say anything. But, said one little lizard. No buts, shouted Makra. There was silence. Even one little lizard tried to speak, but he was silenced by Makra. I think, said a baby crocodile. No, I thinks, screamed Makra. Another baby crocodile tried to speak, but he was also kept shut by Makra. Screamed means shouted. Makra shouted on it and he was also quiet. So loudly that the fruits in the trees above him rained down. After that, no one had the courage to speak. Now nobody had the courage to speak in front of Makra. Makra cleared his throat and showed a few more teeth. Well, he said, I will tell you why we don't like the tortoise. They are so slow, so stupid. They even carry their houses on their back. If you have seen tortoise, you must have seen that they have big hard shells at their back. To which Makra said they carry their houses on their back. Whoever heard of such stupid thing? Now you lizard, you live in trees. Would you ever carry a tree on your back? Would you? Small frightened voices answered together, no, we wouldn't. So Makra gave reason that they are slow, they are stupid and they carry houses on their back, and nobody was able to answer back. They were all frightened, that means afraid or scared. No buts. Now listen, I have told the tortoise that they will have to move out of Pambupatti. When they go, we will have more of everything. More food, more water, more space. I want them out by tomorrow. But because they are such slow coaches, I have given them 1 week. By next Tuesday, we won't have a single tortoise left in the jungle. So he said that if tortoise go, there will be more space, more food for us. And I have given them 1 week's time because they are very slow. So by next Tuesday, they will be out of jungle. And by the following Tuesday, they were all gone. And true to his words, all the tortoises were gone by next Tuesday. At first, the animals were sad, but they realized that what Makra has said was true. There was more food, more water, and more space for them. But soon, a strange smell began to fill the forest. It was the smell of rot. Rot means decomposing, something decomposing by action of bacteria or fungi. Rotting fruit on the ground, rotting animals in the river. This was what the tortoise used to eat, and even Makra had to go about holding his nose with his big claws. Now, initially, there was more space, more food for everyone. But then what happened? Gradually, a strange smell started to fill the forest, and it was the smell of rot. All the fruits and animals in the river were rotting. This is what tortoise used to eat. Now they were not there, so these fruits and animals were rotting and smelling. A month passed by and then the same thing happened all over again. By this time it was the snakes. Makra wrote them one of his letter. They were to leave the forest, and since they could move fast, they had to go in a day. So after tortoise, it was the turn of snake. Makra told the snakes to leave the forest within a day since they can move fast. Naga, the head of the snake, pleaded for more time. Pleaded means requested. But Makra would not give in. At the meeting, he silenced the others, the lizards and the crocodiles, with even louder shouts and threats. Snakes are slimy. Slimy means slippery and greasy, he said. And they make funny noises. Who wants such weird creatures around? Weird means strange. Again, no one dared to disagree with Makra, and so the snakes left. So what is the reason that he gave? That snakes are slimy and they are strange creatures and nobody wants them around. And nobody dared to say opposite to what Makra said. For a while, the animals of the forest were happy because they had been a little afraid of snakes. You never knew when one of them might lose his temper and spit some venom. Venom means poison at you. And it took only a little poison to kill you after all. So after snake left, for a while animals were happy because they were scared of snakes, as they can spit poison on you. And nobody knows when snakes can get angry and kill you. Now, in next part, we will read that the lizards were also ordered to leave and the whole forest now belonged to Makra and his group. The crocodiles faced unforeseen problems. Unforeseen means which were not expected or predicted. In the absence of their fellow reptiles, they soon realized that their happiness lay in their fellow creatures, happiness and homecoming. Now let's read. A few weeks passed and the animals of the forest looked tired and fed up. The rats, now that were there no snakes to eat them, the rats had taken over the forest. Now since snakes has left, there were rats in the forest because this is where the snakes used to eat. And they were having a wonderful time. Rats were having a good time. They were everywhere, on the trees, in the grass, in the bushes, on the ground. They ate up eggs of lizards and crocodile. There would be no babies that year. Makra's own nest of egg had been chewed up. Rats ate all the eggs and there would be no babies. Then Makra had a great idea. He called a meeting of crocodiles and said, "Wouldn't it be wonderful if we, the crocodile, would have the whole jungle for ourselves? No one but us. These lizards, now just look at them. They have the strangest habit and some of them even change color. How can we trust someone who is green one minute, red the next? Let's get rid of them." Now, after tortoise and snake, it was the turn of lizard. And Makra gave the reason that they have strange habit, they change their color and nobody can trust them. By now the crocodiles were really scared of Makra, so they clapped and cheered and Makra was pleased. The lizards left the forest, some with their babies on their backs, so nobody dared to oppose Makra and even lizards left the forest. But now, when life should have been wonderful for the crocodiles of Pambupati, all kind of awful things began to happen. To begin with, the rats grew bolder by the day. Now, since there were only crocodiles in the forest, they must have a good life. But it was actually opposite happening and crocodiles were not having good time. For example, rats became bolder day by day. They became so fearless that they jumped and turned somersault. So rats became fearless and they were so fearless that they jumped and turned somersault. Somersault means taking a complete head turn, taking a complete turn to attack. They started attacking crocodiles. And there were too many frogs. They seemed to be growing larger and there were no one to eat them but the crocodile. And frogs were also growing larger. There was nobody to eat them. These huge frogs began to eat baby crocodiles and frogs were so huge that they started eating baby crocodiles. And insects, now that the lizards were gone, there were millions of the insects. They were growing bigger and nastier. Nastier means irritating day by day. And it was terrible time. It was very difficult time for crocodiles. They couldn't understand what was actually happening to their home forest. Then one day a squeaky means a sharp and high-pitched voice piped up. Piped up means to speak up suddenly at one of their meeting. We know why the forest has gone crazy, don't we? So the voice was that why the forest had gone crazy, we know. Suddenly everyone was silent and they looked at Makra fearfully. But to their surprise, Makra also looked nervous. He shook a rat off his tail and asked the small crocodile, "Why, little fellow?" It all began with the tot. So the answer was it all started when the tortoise went. Okay, said Makra. There's no need to talk so much. Makra didn't want to admit that he was wrong, but now it didn't matter because all crocodiles knew that he was not at all strong and powerful anymore, or he was not always right. So they sent urgent messages all over the place for tortoise, snakes and lizards to come back to Pambupati. And what a great day it was when all these creatures came back to their home. Family after family with their little ones on their back or straggling behind. Straggling means lagging behind, shouting at their parents to wait for them. And finally, in 2 months, the forest was back to normal. The rats disappeared because all the animals came back, and the insects and the smell also disappeared. And the world finally became familiar to its old self. The forest became familiar to its old self because all the residents of the forest came back. So this was the story told by the old man to Prem. "Well, Prem," said the old man, "have you fallen asleep? Did my story send you off to dreamland?" I shook my head. "No, grandfather. I was just thinking maybe it's time I went back to my own village because I have a story to tell them. But what if they don't listen to me?" Then Prem said, "No, grandfather, I listened to you and maybe it's time that I should go back to my village and tell this story to people. But what if people don't listen to me?" "We can only keep at it, my son. Tell these stories again and again to more and more people. Some of them may laugh at you or say your stories are not true, but they may remember them one day and understand that each of us has a place in this strange, funny world of ours." On which the old man replied, "We can just tell these stories to people. Some may laugh on you, some may not believe you, but we should just keep telling it to more and more people and many times. And one day they will understand you, they will believe you, and they will understand that each of us on this earth has a place of its own." So this beautiful story was by Zai Whitaker. This was the story which tells us that each and every creature has its own importance on this beautiful earth. So students, I hope you have understood the story now. Thank you for listening. Bye bye for now.